Hi class. The chapters in Unit 3 talk about helping you to make connections between what you're writing. So I'd like to discuss this in a little detail. The point of all of this is to tie your ideas together. So when you're writing an essay and you have a thesis statement, your thesis statement should be supported by the body of your essay and the conclusion of your essay. But where students seem to struggle is when you're transitioning, if you will, from sentence to sentence or paragraph to paragraph within the body of an essay. The first chapter of Unit 3 talks about ways that you can transition using some key tips and tricks. These include transitions, pointing words, key terms and phrases, and repeating with a difference. We'll start by talking about transitions. These 8 are the most common transitions used to help students move from paragraph to paragraph, or in some cases from sentence to sentence. If you use these tactics between every sentence, the paper would be too cumbersome, and I would probably give you a critique that you're using too many transition words. So you need to think about when to use these and how to use these terms. They're most effective when you're transitioning from one topic in a paragraph to a new, somewhat related but different topic in the next paragraph. So the first is addition. One key word is also, another is and. So if you're writing a sentence, the next sentence could be also, comma, I'd like to add. Or maybe you want to use the word and in addition to, etc. The next is example. And when you're setting up an example, you want to consider saying, for instance, or consider. I often write in an essay, consider the following, and I add additional content-related material after that introductory transition phrase. Sometimes you need to elaborate, so you need to provide additional detail. 2 suggestions for good elaboration transitions are actually and in other words. Comparisons can be set up in many ways, but one way I'd like to highlight is using likewise. Contrasts usually use words like although and but. Cause and effect, as a result, and hence. Concession, you could use words like admittedly or granted. And for a conclusion, you could use the word therefore. Note I'm highlighting just a few of the words that you would use to create a transition. You could also use pointing words. This, that, these, and those are the most common pointing words to use in an essay. You could repeat key terms or phrases. To do this, you want to emphasize the main points. Consider what has come before, meaning what additional material have you possibly come across in your research. And think about what's already in the paragraph or the paragraphs before. Finally, you want to repeat yourself, but with a difference. So you'll get an edit note from me if you literally say the same thing twice. Instead, you want to elaborate or say what you said before, but either add on to it or say it in a different way that re-emphasizes your meaning. Often, you're going to repeat yourself with a difference in your conclusion. This is just a brief overview of the first chapter of Unit 3. Please let me know if you have any questions. Why does this matter? Well, if a paper makes sense, it's more likely that it will both be read entirely and that the person who's reading it may be swayed by your point of view. Papers that make sense, therefore, are more persuasive. And papers that make sense usually get better grades, so of course keep that in mind.